On my website, thewaythetruthandthelife.net, Saul Alinsky is one of the people that I view as historically important for his caring and the impact it had on human well-being. I will give you background of my own experience, how it fit into this, and how I came to be involved. I left school as I turned 16 and went on the road uh, 3 months afterwards. I worked in a factory until after Christmas, and then I went on the road selling magazines, door to door, a different city every week. One insight there is it's much easier to talk to poor people than it is to more affluent people. But with that experience, I went as far as Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and came back and went out again city to city that year to as far as Denver, Colorado, before I hitchhiked back home, and finished working the summer to go in the Air Force when I turned 17. But that experience of door-to-door magazine sales was very helpful in giving me some community awareness and how to communicate. I'll give you an example. I had a college equivalency, high school equivalency, and two out of 4 tests for college equivalency when I was in the Air Force in later years, and had gone then on to college and signed up at the University of Buffalo Night School for English 101, and I was amazed. I used my background of sales, of going and having personal contact first and appreciating the home if they invited me in, and then going into my story with an introduction and the body and then a closing. Well, in this English class, the teacher would or professor would read my reports, and I was so, I'm going to get a good grade. I'd get it back. It was all marked up, and I had a low grade because of grammar and spelling, and I'm still bad at that. But I'm glad for the automatic spelling correction nowadays. But I'm working on this website, and one of the sections is people that care, and Saul Alinsky is one of them. And I had experience. The background of door-to-door sales gave me experience. Later on, I had left after having degrees in physics and mathematics. I left research at Carborundum to teach physics, and I helped a fellow teacher, Al Kolachitsak, with some community project to get people involved. Necessitated going door to door, and I was able to do that. When I was younger, it was very hard. When I first went on the road, I was a shy farm boy, basically. But with that experience in the background, I had gotten then involved in as a senior building representative for the 110 high school teachers, and acting grievance representative. And when it became clear that the superintendent had a corrupt control of the teachers association assembly, I just it was after a couple of years, I just resigned and went on to where I could use my time better. and ended up at the Unitarian Universalist Church, and used my skills at and interest in people. They had an adult education program that they'd start maybe 5-6 courses, and they'd go a couple of weeks, and nobody would come, and it would go down, except for there was one form on great books that had a group shared interest, and there was one on international politics. I don't remember the name of that forum now. It's an international forum. I also learned something from alcohology. It's called cognitive dissonance. That is, if you have a pimple and you're worried about it, and you go tell a friend, and the friend says, put vinegar on it, you might just say, well, that's nonsense, not paying attention. But if you went to a doctor, paid him $100 today, that'd be about what it is, and he said, put vinegar on it, you would do it because you would feel foolish. You paid $100 for advice and you don't follow it. You value the advice because you paid for it. So I took over the chairmanship of adult education, which was basically a dead duck, and developed a questionnaire for the congregation, and in it what they were interested in, and whether they wanted to participate as a student or they wanted to offer a class. And out of that I ended up with the information who wanted to teach and what they wanted to teach, and who wanted to learn and what they wanted to learn, and I put the two together and added cognitive dissonance. I had set up 8 courses of 8 weeks. Most of them were one meeting a week. Art and dance and things like that. But I wanted them to value that it would last for 8 weeks, so I added a charge, $1 per class for the teacher and $1 per class for the church. So 8 classes, $16. So they needed to pay $16 for their course, and they did. And the courses went to the end. The people did value them. It worked. Well, I was then asked to be a representative on a 17-church charity called the Concerned Ecumenical Ministries of the Upper West Side. It's at Buffalo, New York. And I and Nancy Ryther, believe it or not, she had been my 9th grade English teacher. The only reason I passed is because I stayed after school and rewrote all my misspelled words 100 times. But I enjoyed her. I used my skills there. That has some bearing on community organizing, but Saul Alinsky's organizers are the ones who basically, with the help of the Catholic Church, put together this 17-church charity to help with community improvement on the Upper West Side. There were some areas where slum landlords had bought in and they weren't taking care of the property. That was the first major concern. There were some schemers too who would come in and buy a couple of houses and let them degrade and drive the property values down, and then buy up the rest of the houses. But these slum landlords had influence that politically, probably money-wise, and building inspectors would not enforce the building codes for safety, for electricity, for sewers, for roofs, and this type of thing and trash left around. So that's why they brought in these organizers. And Saul Alinsky's organizers, I met them. There were two people, and they trained us on how to do community work. And that's what I want to share with you. It's so valuable, and I value so much of Saul Alinsky's work. In the background, I know that there's a difference between anger and rage. Sadomasochistic rage is somebody who's beaten down too far. They're far below anger. They're destructive. But anger is something I know. I used to anger my father regularly, and he would give me a spanking for it. And it wasn't because he hated me, and it wasn't because he was violating me. It was because I was being disciplined for not doing what was in my own best interest, like staying in my yard when there was heavy traffic right outside my yard. We lived in a country town, but right on near the crossroads, behind the Peak and Cut. But at any rate, these organizers taught us how to help a community. First, you go and interview people in a neighborhood, and you find leaders. Leaders are simple, people that follow them. They can call people out to a meeting. But you find out what the people are angry about. The garbage around, the dogs around, whatever it is. The crime. And through this interview, and I enjoyed that, reminded me of my days of meeting people by selling magazines. So you get a group together based on their common concerns and angers. And for the leader, you teach that the first most important thing for any leader is to train his or her replacement, because the process is more important than the individual. We're trying to help a community, and if a person leaves, you don't want the process to fail. You need leaders. And again, leaders are people that have followers. And how do you have followers? By finding out what they're interested in and helping them serve their own best self-interest and the interest of the community in the process. So I used my skills with this on this 17 church charity board. They had an offer for a grant for a latchkey program. That's where children who don't have any parent in the home when they get out of school can go and stay until a parent can pick them up. And there had been two churches that had offered rooms for this, that use church facilities, but nobody was able to get people to sign up. And to me, that didn't seem like a very difficult thing. I said, I'll try to organize this year. It was the second year, and they were going to lose the funding if they didn't get it. It was some charitable organization going to fund it. And of the two areas where the neighborhoods where there was a church facility available as a latchkey facility, I went and had a friend help me. We went to 100 different homes in each neighborhood and told them about the latchkey program and asked if there was any interest. And one that most out of 100 responded yes, we used that. And I went about to canvass the community and end up with essentially what you class of after school kids in this latchkey program. And once it got going, it fed on itself. And well, they were so pleased with the skills that I had that they asked me to be chairman of the board. That is, the board itself elected me chairman of the board. Yeah, it was an interesting experience, but the way that problems were confronted was get the people together who are, say we're talking about a building inspector that's not enforcing the building code. You take it one step at a time. You get together, what are we going to do? We're going to make an appointment with this building inspector. We're going to go down there and we're going to tell him the problems that we want him to address and take care of. And we'll find out how he responds and what happens from the meeting. We'll come back and talk about it and figure out what to do next. So there was a plan. There was the actual meeting with the official, with this small group, and then debriefing, a meeting back at our, it was a church where we met. So then just you make a plan what to do now. Wait, he says he's going to do something. If he doesn't do it, then what are we going to do? We're going to go and ask him, or we're going to find out who his supervisor is, and we'll set an appointment with the supervisor and go up the chain of command, as you will. But these steps were very helpful and effective, and it brings pride to the community. But and it's health giving. It's health giving. This was Saul Alinsky's brainchild, and over 40 cities he set up organizations and did a lot of good for the inner city, empowered people who felt helpless, and the healing that went by with that. So Saul Alinsky is one of the greatest men that ever lived in my book, and this is why. It's too bad he smoked and died early, but that's a whole another matter. This will end my discussion. I can't think of more that has gone on to, as I say, add to the health of the community. And I greatly appreciate the legacy of Saul Alinsky. Thank you.